Let's go. Welcome back to Cactus Sailing. Today we are going to be sailing to Poole. Wind is not particularly great, but we'll see what it's like when we get out the marina and out the town quay. And we'll show you how we do a bit of passage planning along the way, and we'll hopefully also do a bit of downwind sailing, famous last words. But we'll see once we're out of here anyway. But now we just need to wait for the bridge to lift. Why not consider being one of our patrons, and don't forget you can follow us on Instagram and Facebook. I'm going to share with you our passage plan for today and basically take you through how we do our passage planning. Now this is going to be some basic stuff. I'm not going to go into too much of the advanced stuff, so obviously if I do miss some things out, then that might be covered in a future video on our advanced passage planning. But basically what we want to do is we want to leave Weymouth here, and then we want to go to Poole. That's the plan. So first thing we need to look out for is obviously the weather and these kind of things, and what we might see along the way. One thing we can notice straight away is we've got some overfalls here, and it even tells us there on the chart, it says overfalls on east going stream. So if you've got an east going stream, you know that there's going to be some overfalls there, and that's because there's a bit of shallow ground there. And other than that, there's not really too much other hazards on here. The only other thing is the firing practice area from the Lower Gunnery range. So that's just something to take into account, but we're sailing on a Saturday, so that's not going to bother us. Next thing you want to do is see what the tides are doing, and then you'll understand what the currents are doing. So this book here, Tidal Stream Atlas, these are all based on high water Dover. Tells you there, look, high water Dover. So you need to find out what high water is Dover for today. So today is, and I apologise because I'm doing this upside down, so July the 11th, Saturday. So if we pick one of those high waters near to where we are going to be sailing, the probably best one for me going to be using is this high water here, so this 1512. But another point to remember is we've got standard time here, UT, and for summertime in the non-shaded areas, which is this section, we need to add an hour. So that 1512 becomes 1612. So high water, I mean 10 minutes between friends, let's just say that that's 4 o'clock. So at 4 o'clock and 4 o'clock high water Dover, that is pretty much what the tides are doing. Which one? This one. So yeah, we can see what the tides are doing at 4 o'clock. So we're leaving at 8 o'clock in the morning. So this will be 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 2, 1, 12, 11, 10, and that's 10 o'clock. And then you can go all the way back to the other side to find out what 9 o'clock's doing.
You need to turn the kettle off.
And I need to turn the kettle off. Right, so this is 10 o'clock, and then I will also know at 9 o'clock, and then finally 8 o'clock, which is what time we want to leave. So 8 o'clock, we've got a bit of tide against us. 9 o'clock, the tide is turned already, look, and it's started to go with us. And the tide will stay with us for the majority of all those hours until pretty much until 1 o'clock, I think it is. So therefore I know I've got a favourable tide if I leave early in the morning. So it also means I haven't got to worry too much about this, especially if I look at the weather forecast, because the weather forecast today is going to be a force 3, if that, to be honest, maybe force 4 at times. So I'm not too worried about these overfalls, but I do know I've got the tide with me. And if I've got the tide with me, I know I'm going to be going faster across the ground, so that's going to make life easier as well. To get myself a rough understanding of my course to steer, all I want to do is I want to pick a point off of St Albans Head, somewhere safely enough away from the head. You know, somewhere, let's pick this little, to make it nice and easy, look, it's lat and long line here, let's pick that position there. And then to get a course to steer, it's pretty much just drawing a straight line from where you're going to come from and there. And I haven't got my Portland plotter with me, but you can also just take a parallel rule roughly from where you're going to go, and roughly we're doing 100 degrees, and we'll put that into our plotter upstairs, and I'm pretty much sure that that will be a 100 degrees course anyway, because we've sailed along this coast quite a few times anyway, and that'll be it. If you're sailing across the tide, obviously you would take into account where the tide's going to push the boat sideways as well, but because we've got the tide from behind us, we can pretty much forget about that for this passage. And then as we're going around the corner of Anvil Point and everything else, we just want to go up this marked buoy here. It's useful if you're doing a passage plan as well, is to get the marina guide out, or a channel almanac such as this one as well, because it gives you a detailed drawing of what's in there and all the light buoys and everything else. And also if you are sailing at night and everything else, it does tell you exactly what those buoys are going to be marking at night, so what colour they're going to be and what they're going to be flashing as well, so their flashing sequence. And that's pretty much it. So we'll just draw up a quick passage plan of going up the Poole channel, and that'll be it. We'll get our lines off and we'll go.
Morning.
You sailing us out today?
I am, yeah. It's the first time I've sailed us out the marina.
You brought us back once though.
Did I?
Yeah, you did. You were tied up to the waiting pontoon.
Oh yeah.
I suppose best go and get the fenders, isn't it?
Yeah, go get the fenders in.
I've been demoted.
I've never given that order before.
Good morning. We are just leaving Weymouth and we're on our way over to Poole, hopefully. Tea's gone a bit cold this morning because we've just been got up a bit late and we had to get the 8 o'clock bridge. So we've just been faffing around with lines and everything. So we're going to get the sails up, and hopefully then I might have a chance to get some breakfast, and then we'll hopefully be sailing across Weymouth Bay down towards Poole. Weather today is going to be light winds, I think. It did forecast downwind, but every time I say I'm going to go downwind, it's always upwind. Can't really feel any much wind at the minute, apart from what we're making. So we'll see. We've got the tide with us though, so that's one thing, I suppose. And hopefully it's a sail and not a motor sail, but we'll see. But now it's time for tea.
We wake, hear the birds and see the sun. Side by side our fears are done. All the good times just begun. We know what we have, let's hold on tight. Found what we're looking for in life. Call us crazy, but things are finally right. With you and I, the future is bright. Oh, you and I, we got it. Oh, we don't need no more.
So we just got the sails up. Lack of wind. Not going to be able to sail, I don't think. It's only like 6 knots, and I think we're making most of that anyway. So we're motor sailing, as is everybody else. And meant to have some tide with us, but not quite yet, I don't think. It doesn't seem to be helping our speed any bit at all. But I've got my tea, so we'll just plod on out here for a bit, and then hopefully the wind comes later on, but we'll see.
Call us crazy, but things are finally right. With you and I, the future is bright. Oh, you and I, we got it. Oh, we don't need no more.
Just past, well, we passed our favourite cove, which is Lulworth Cove down that way. Mute Bay, which we just spin the camera around and let you and share that with you, which is over there. there is another little bay along this coast as well. I think it's called Chapman's Poole, which is just in a little bit, which is over there, between the headland where we're going. Not been there before, but it's one place we'd like to go at some point. And then normally, where we're sailing now, this is normally part of the Weymouth gunnery range. So during the week you can't sail in this area because they like to fire guns into the sea. So you have to stay away from that. Wind at the minute is still not doing a great deal. It's starting to pick up a little bit, and there is a guy over there, and he is sailing, but I think he's either motor sailing or it's because he's really close to the cliffs. So I think he might just getting a bit of wind off the, or a bit of local effect from the cliffs. But we'll get a bit closer to Dirlston Head, and then we might try and sail a bit, I think, depending on what we're doing. Because then once we're at Dirlston Head, basically, that means, you know, we've passed the tidal gate as such. I know it's not a big tidal gate or anything like that, but once we pass the headland, we can take it easy, to be honest. So hopefully we can do a bit of sailing then.
Don't speak, there's no need for you talking. Calling the highest sky. I ain't got the urge to leave. Come stay a little while. I've grown tired of wasting others. Hold off, steer me right. Ongoing, dried out silhouettes. I'm numb, you stay the night.
Very precariously coming up the way there.
You should only carry one at a time, really.
I know, but it's pretty flat.
These rocks on the solid bottom, calling the white lines. No one wins this broken lotto. It's just me and the silent cry. I've grown tired of wasting others. Tie down these loose strings. I get lost in these dried out silhouettes. And you try and do better. Glory eyes for miles and days. Get out from under me. Troublemaker, plan my escape. The silhouettes give me away. Get out from under me.
So what you just saw there, that was there's a shelf in the sea. It was roughly around 10 metres deep, and then coming off it goes to around 30 metres deep. So I know we mentioned earlier about tidal gates and this kind of thing. It's not necessarily a gate as such, it's just an area of water to watch out for. So basically we had the tide going with us, and the tide was basically dropping off that shelf, and as it did so, you've got this really confused sea. So obviously you've got all the waves out there, and it's really still on the shelf itself. We was doing around 7-8 knots through that because the tide was really dragging us through it, which is fine if we're going with the tide, but this is why you kind of have to get your timings right, because if we was coming the other way and we was trying to fight into that, there's no way we'd be able to get through that even with the engine on full blast. And also it'd be a very, very bumpy ride trying to go against it. And equally, you know, if it's really windy, if it's, you know, a force 6 or 7, that's not really a place I'd want to be trying to go that close to the headland anyway. When it's a bit rough, you want to stay out away from headlands, like we did in one of our previous trips when we were around Start Point. But yeah, there's a couple of 100 metres or so, the sea should flatten out again as we get further away from the shelf. And then we've got the next tidal race, which is on Dirlston Head. but I can't imagine that being as bad as that one, to be honest. This is slow because Durlston Head is a lot closer to the shore. This one sticks out quite a fair bit anyway. So yeah, we are sailing a bit. I've still got the motor just on tick over, to be honest. Not really doing a great deal, but I was just finding if we was trying to sail, we were dropping below my magic 5 knots number. So yeah, just got the engine on a little bit. And now the wind seems to be shifting around a little bit, so I might have to get the Genoa in a bit. Unless I can go on just long enough to get around this headland, and then I can turn the other way then. So I've got a bit of a question that I've been pondering, and hopefully our viewers might be able to help us out here. So normally when I'm sailing along the coast, typically, especially if the tide is with me, I'll be sailing probably half a mile, maybe a mile off the coast, because then you get a decent amount of tide under the keel and it will take your boat off away with the tide. Now I can understand these guys over there because they're sailing against the tide. So if you're sailing against the tide, the logic would be that you want to sail closer to shore because then the tide isn't as strong there. But if you're sailing with the tide like we are, I don't really understand why the boats coming the same direction as us are hugging the coast. Because they're all motor sailing, so they're not as if they're hugging the coast to get better wind off the cliffs. So I'm a little bit confused why most people hug the coast so close. So if anybody knows the answer to that, I'd be appreciative if you could just pop that in the comments below and let me know. One of the things you've got to watch out for when sailing quite close to the coast is lobster pots. So I'm just going to click in a little bit of a footage down there. So there is a lobster pot there, but because of the tide, it's sitting right underneath the water level. So you can only see it when you're quite close up. And it's a calm day today as well, so you know, you should be able to see these pots. I think it's a case of, you know, fishermen not really using the right buoy or something, I don't know. It's just because you get one of those wrapped around your prop, it's pretty much going to ruin your sailing day, I think. But yeah, it's just something to watch out for if you are sailing close to the coast.
Trying to fire away. Oh, you can change your name, but I'm not giving in.
That over there is the Poole chain ferry, just coming into the harbour entrance. Might get the sails down in a minute because it's very busy in here. I have got the motor on, so motor sailing. Gets quite choppy. All the motor boats. I just want to get by this chain ferry first though. You have to give way to that. And it's never quite clear when he's actually going to leave. Normally they've got lights on them and they kind of flash before they're going to leave, but I've only been to Poole once before. Last time we came here, we couldn't get a berth in anywhere because I can't remember what it was on. Was it Air Show or something like that? Bournemouth Air Show, something like that. So we ended up going right up into the channel to find somewhere to stay. I think we need to get a bit of better local knowledge around here so we know where all the anchorages are, because then we can start anchoring out down here. Not quite that read up on Poole, if I'm honest, in terms of anchorages. But I know there's plenty around Brownsea Island and everything else. Welcome to Poole. We're going to be mooring up where all the gin palaces go, I think. There's a gin palace production company in here called Sunseeker, and they make gin palaces to order. I think they even come with gin stocked in the fridge, I think. That's what the rumour is anyway. Rumour has it that they do come stocked fully with gin.
Other brands are available.
Yeah, other brands of boat are available. They still all have the gin though.
I don't wanna stay here, no. Ain't gonna keep it up now. If you wanna go, let's go. Let's wrap it up and hit the road. I just gotta announce some vibe. Striking the winner post now. Liberty's on my mind. We've taken off, we've left the ground. You gotta understand that we get one chance, one chance. You will never regret the things that we'll do. 'Cause I wanna drive through the summer night. And when we are old and gray, we'll look back at this summer night. This summer night, this summer night. Sleeping in the back of a van, roaming in the wilderness. We don't ever need a plan. We'll be alright, just you and I. Singing from the top of our lungs, dancing by the lakeside. Gonna do it while we're young. In a moment it will all be gone.
On the top of the world, Jack! Like, he's a baby.